Your biggest achievement probably left you feeling completely empty. And I don't mean a little underwhelmed. I mean that hollow, almost embarrassing feeling, like you worked for years towards something, you finally got there, and your brain just shrugged. That's not weakness. That's not ingratitude. That is literally how human psychology works. And once you understand why it happens, everything changes. Okay, so here's the thing nobody talks about. Your brain was never built to enjoy arriving anywhere, like ever. It was built to survive the chase. There's this thing called the dopamine anticipation system. And honestly, when I first learned about this, I was a little annoyed because dopamine, that feel-good chemical everyone talks about, it doesn't actually spike when you get the thing. It spikes when you're chasing it. The almost there feeling, the 2 a.m. grind sessions, the obsessive planning, that's when your brain is absolutely lit up. The moment you actually cross the finish line, dopamine drops. Not because you failed, not because the goal wasn't real or worth it, but because your brain has already moved on. It's already scanning the horizon for the next problem to solve. It didn't even wait for you to finish celebrating. Rude, honestly. Think about someone who spends 3 years grinding toward a certification. The late nights, the sacrifices, the "I'll sleep when I'm done" energy, all of it feels electric. And then the letter arrives. They got it. And within a week, sometimes within hours, there's this weird flatness, a sort of, oh, okay, now what? That's not them being broken. That's neuroscience doing exactly what it was designed to do. Your brain was built for the hunt, not the feast. So here's the practical thing you can actually do with that. Don't just hit the goal and immediately sprint to the next one. Build a ritual around arrival. Name what you did. Say it out loud. Let your nervous system actually catch up to what happened, because right now your calendar knows you won, but your body hasn't gotten the memo yet. Okay, now here's where it gets a little uncomfortable. A lot of us were handed this script when we were kids, and we didn't even realize we were reading from it. It went something like, work hard, achieve things, and then you'll feel worthy. The achievement was supposed to be the proof, the gold star that finally said, yes, you're enough now. And so we tied our entire sense of self-worth to the outcomes, the grades, the titles, the approval. Psychologists DC and Ryan spent years studying this. It's called self-determination theory. And what they found was kind of gut-punching. When your motivation is externally driven, meaning you're doing things to earn love, avoid criticism, or prove something to someone who probably isn't even watching, even genuine success feels empty. Because somewhere deep down, a part of you knows you didn't do it for you. You did it to quiet something, to silence a voice, maybe a parent's voice, maybe a version of yourself from 10 years ago who got told they weren't quite good enough. I think about this girl, top of her class, everyone cheering, photos, flowers, the whole thing. And that night, alone in her room, she sits with this thought she's almost ashamed to have. Why doesn't this feel like I thought it would? Not because she didn't earn it, but because she was waiting for the achievement to hand her the feeling of being enough, and it just couldn't do that. Nothing external can. Here's the reframe, and I genuinely think this is one of the most important things in psychology. Worthiness isn't something you achieve, it's something you return to. The wins can be completely real and meaningful, and still not be the source of how you feel about yourself. They're the expression of who you already are, not the proof. When you start doing things from a place of I'm already enough and I want to build something, instead of I need to build something so I can finally feel enough, the work doesn't lose its meaning. It actually gains it. All right, I need to say something out loud that most people are way too embarrassed to admit. Sometimes success is just terrifying. Not in a dramatic movie villain way, in a quiet, sneaky way that makes you self-sabotage right before things fully land. You procrastinate on the final step. You suddenly get sick the week of the big launch. You pick a fight with someone close to you right when everything is going really well. Psychology calls this self-handicapping behavior, and it's not self-destruction. It's a nervous system that was never taught that it's safe to be seen succeeding. A lot of us grew up in environments, consciously or not, where standing out felt dangerous, where doing too well meant getting cut down, where love felt like it was tied to staying manageable, staying small. So imagine someone who finally launches the business they've dreamed about for years. It starts doing well, real traction, real money, real momentum. And instead of feeling excited, they feel dread creeping in. They start questioning every decision. They almost want something to go wrong just so the pressure lifts. What if people expect this from me forever now? What if I can't do it again? What if succeeding means I outgrow the people I love? Those are real fears. They deserve real attention. The question worth sitting with is this: whose voice gets louder when you succeed? And what is that voice actually afraid will happen to you? That's usually where the real stuff is hiding. Okay, this next one I genuinely laughed at when I first read about it because it explained so much of my life. Turns out we are spectacularly bad at predicting how achieving something will make us feel, like embarrassingly bad. Psychologists Daniel Gilbert and Timothy Wilson have studied this for years. They call it affective forecasting error. And basically what it means is we wildly overestimate how good we'll feel when we finally get the thing, and we underestimate how long that good feeling will last. We build the goal into this massive monument in our heads. We tell ourselves when I get there, everything shifts. We tie our whole emotional future to this one outcome. And then we get there, and it's good. It's genuinely good, but it's also just Tuesday. It's like spending months fantasizing about a meal at your all-time favorite restaurant. You've been talking about it, thinking about it, dreaming about it, and then you eat it, and it's delicious. But it was dinner. It was always just dinner. The real experience was the anticipation. And honestly, that's not depressing. It's actually kind of freeing once you flip it. It means your goals aren't pointless. It means you just gave them a job they were never qualified to do. Goals give you direction, momentum, structure. They don't give you meaning. That's different work. And it happens not at the finish line. It happens on a random Wednesday afternoon when nothing is being won and nothing needs to be. There's a concept called hedonic adaptation, and I think about it basically every time something good happens in my life now. It simply means humans are ridiculously good at getting used to things. That raise that felt life-changing in March, by October, it's just your salary. The relationship that felt electric in year 1, by year 4, it's the comfortable background hum of your life. The apartment that made you feel like you'd finally made it, now it's just where you keep your stuff. That's not cynicism, honestly. It's actually one of our greatest survival tools. It's how people come back from devastating loss. But it also means that chasing more stuff as a strategy for lasting happiness is a treadmill that genuinely never stops. Research in positive psychology, including work by Sonia Lyubomirsky, shows that only about 10% of our lasting happiness comes from life circumstances. 10%. The promotions, the money, the achievements, the acquisitions, all of that accounts for roughly 10%. The rest comes from how you process your life, how you connect with people, how much intentional meaning you actively create. So if you've been running towards something because you thought it would finally make you feel okay, it will make you feel good. I'm not going to lie to you about that. But then your brain will quietly file it under normal, hand you a new list, and start the whole thing over. That's not failure. That's just being human. And honestly, knowing that is where freedom starts. And here's the last layer, the deepest one. Sometimes success feels fake because it forces you to come face to face with yourself, with who you actually are now that the striving has gone quiet for a second. Because when you're working towards something, the goal gives you an identity. I'm the person building this. I'm in progress. I'm becoming. But the moment you arrive, that scaffolding comes down, even just temporarily. And standing there without it can feel genuinely disorienting. Like, who are you when you're not becoming something? Viktor Frankl, who went through things most of us can't even imagine, wrote that humans can endure almost anything if they have a why. And what he and decades of psychology after him found is that meaning isn't something you discover sitting at the top of a mountain you just climbed. It's something you make. It's chosen, tended to, rebuilt constantly. It lives in how you show up to what's in front of you, not in the trophy at the end of the hallway. So here's where we actually land. If your wins have ever felt hollow, you're not defective, you're not ungrateful, you're paying attention. Your brain was wired for the chase, not the finish line. Your worth was never supposed to live inside an outcome. Success and fear can absolutely coexist, and that fear is usually just an old version of you trying to keep you safe from something that isn't even a threat anymore. We're terrible at predicting how good things will feel. We are brilliant at adapting to them. And meaning doesn't live in the achievement, it lives in what you choose to bring to ordinary moments. No achievement will ever hand you the feeling you're actually looking for. But here's what I want you to sit with, really sit with. You already have access to that feeling right now, not because you earned it, because you exist, you reflect, you care enough to wonder why your own mind works the way it does. That's not nothing. That's honestly everything. The achievement wasn't a lie. You just gave it a job description it was never meant to carry. Let it be what it is, proof of your effort, a marker of how far you've come, a chapter worth actually celebrating. And then, without any urgency, without needing to prove anything to anyone, ask yourself what you actually want to move towards next. Not to fill a gap, not to silence a voice, but because you're someone who finds meaning in the making. And that, honestly, that's more than enough to build a life on. If something in this hit different for you today, stick around. Subscribe because we do this every week. Real psychology, real talk. No fluff, no hype, just the kind of honest conversation that actually helps you understand yourself better. And understanding yourself, honestly, that's the only thing that never stops paying off.